Number one was how well we played together as a team. We talked about playing 60 minutes of football, and finally put it together where we had a tough opponent, but we focused on us and how we executed throughout the whole game, and it showed. That was the number one talking point. And the number two talking point from Coach Harbaugh was that's what we can be as an offense, where we executed throughout. We weren't perfect. We had a few things we could have fixed, but how we put it together the whole game and played for a whole 60 minutes was, was awesome. And that was number one. The number two thing he said was, that's what we can be if we continue to play that way for a whole game.
Max, the screen game has been a big asset the last few weeks. In your opinion, what are the keys to precisely executing the screen package?
I think it's the flow of the game. Number one, I think a screen is most effective when it's called at the right time, and I think Coach Harbaugh did a great job of calling the screens at the right time. And I think when you watch them in the NFL, it's always when you can catch a defense off guard and throw a screen. And the second thing is executing them. And you always see screens that almost hit because one block is not there, or maybe we're too early getting the screen out or too late. And I think the timing is imperative, and also the downfield blocks are imperative. I think our staff has done a great job of coaching our guys to do it the right way, but also our players executing them at the right time, at the right moments, and executing with the right leverage to be able to hit those big screens.
Did you see enhanced sense of urgency from your offensive line in that game?
100%, and I think that's down to the leadership of that group. Quinn, Tay, Coop, Greg, the whole group. Really they took that upon themselves and really put the team on their backs the whole game. I would shout out Beersy for doing that towards the end of the game. He fought through some stuff, and he played his butt off. And having that senior O-line kind of carry that group throughout the whole game was impressive. It was fun to watch. It was fun to play behind. I know the running backs had a blast playing behind them the whole game, and their energy was outstanding the whole game. And it was fun to be in the huddle with them. It was a great game.
You just played at Michigan a couple weeks ago, and now you get to travel out to the Rose Bowl.
Mm.
Is this part of the package that Harbaugh and his staff kind of try to incentivize you on to come play quarterback there?
I don't think it was the number one thing. I think it was being able to play on a bigger stage and play on under different lights and in a new world. And I think for us as a team, we're focused on just playing football. And I think if you focus too much on where you're playing and not who you're playing, you can kind of get caught up in the limelight. And I think for the Michigan game, for example, you're playing in front of 110,000 people or whatever it was. But if you get caught up in where you're playing and not who you're playing, you can get lost. And that's what this game is for us, for the UCLA game. We'll play any game, anywhere, at any time. And that's what I love about this team is we're here to play football. And I love the way the direction the team is going in right now, focused on the next day and not too far ahead, but focused on the next day throughout the week, and get into game day with as much energy as possible to execute what we got.
What are the challenges of UCLA on tape?
They do some good stuff. I think number one, they're sound on the back end. They do a great job. They're tall, they're fast, they're physical. They're a hungry defense as well. I think you look at their record, and it's not all team they are. We were similar in the fact that we had a difficult schedule, early of the season. It's the same with UCLA. They've played, 4 top 20 teams or whatever, and top 25 teams, and they've been up against the ringer, and it's a challenging season for both parties. But for them to be able to respond, and I think we always say a corner dog is a hungry dog. And for them, being 1-4 against 4 really good teams is something that we felt before too, and we know what it feels like going into the game. And so I'm excited. It's going to be a challenging game. They're a team that's hungry, so we're excited for the challenge.
Max, on the last week, did you know why you were in, or were you kind of waiting for
I actually, in the moment, I kind of just closed my eyes and pushed as hard as I could. I think the guys behind me got me in. I looked down once we got up, and I was, I knew I was over the line at that point. And the O-line knew we were in. I was more listening to the O-line up front, knowing that they had, that we had gotten in. But you have to wait until the call's done, and we are kind of holding our breath to make sure we were going to get in for a touchdown there. So it was a really cool feeling for the team to be able to finish that game that way, and ultimately the defense stopping their offense at the very end of the game is what sealed it. And so it was an ultimate game of complementary football on both sides, and I can't wait to see what we have in the future.
How was the confidence from the coaching
Yeah, yeah. The coach talked about confidence and the fact that if we put the proof on the field, that they'll put the game in our hands. And I think that's what our coaches did. I think we executed at a high level for the most part of the game. We had great energy throughout the whole game, and the O-line was dominant. And so they put the game behind the O-line, and they trusted them. We trusted them to do the job, and they got the job done. And so that's all a credit to them and how well they executed throughout the whole game.
Do you guys call it tush push? Do you call it the forward plunge? Or what's the kind of vernacular?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't give an actual call, but I would say it's definitely modeled after the Eagles tush push. We try to model it as best we can after it. They're so dominant at that specific play, and I don't know what their record is, how successful they are on it, but it's insane how successful they've been, how positive yardage they've got, what positive yards they got from that. It's almost like I don't even know. They talked about like trying to ban it at one time, I think, throughout that season because of how successful they are. But you look at the O-line and how the Eagles O-line, how well they do it. They get low and they get down and dirty. That's what we try to do as well.
How integral is Greg Johnson trying to play the role in that as well? Because I know Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, it all starts at the center. Jason Kelsey, he owns it. He definitely says it's. There's a quote or something. It's not his most fun part of the game because it's so physical. But you have to own that part as the center because you start it. And for Greg to be able to do what he's doing up there, being in the position he is, taking on 3 or 4 hats at one time, and trying to get the ball to me at the same time is impressive. And for someone who is as young as he is doing that, it shows you how tough he is, how dominant he is up front. He's willing to go get the extra yards for his team.
So quick, Barrett can show him he can make a big play on special teams when the defense is. Does he give you guys on offense a big lift with those?
It does. I think the energy he provides on special team, it's amazing. I talked last week about how, as a freshman, you may not realize, those big plays really provide energy for the team and the offense moving forward. And to be able to take that upon yourself and put the team on your back in that specific play, it's a lot for someone as young as he is. And he's taken it and completely, changed the game for us on special teams and on offense as well. And so if he continues to grow, I'm excited to see where he goes as a player. But for us this season, he's doing a great job on special teams.
Looking back, kind of, you mentioned before the season and like throughout the first 2 weeks, you hadn't played in front of a crowd like that. You didn't have the name on the back of your jersey.
Mhm.
Kind of, what was that moment like for you? Just like kind of soaking it all in post game with all the fans of like
Yeah.
50,000 all around you.
Absolutely insane. You grew up watching those games where you see the crowd rush games, to see the post game interview on the field with the students behind you and the fans behind you, and actually being a part of it is really, really cool. I think most of us on the team hadn't actually been through that before. A few people on the team have, but for most of us, we hadn't been a part of that. And so to experience that with my teammates and with my family as well, because at some point I caught up with them as well, which was absolutely insane to be able to have my family in the field with me at that same time. But being part of that with the team is such a cool feeling that we won't forget. It's something that you look back upon, and it's a moment that you carry with you for a long time.
You mentioned interview portion. I know Carl was there.
Oh yeah,
Post-game.
Carl was my escort guy. He was absolutely insane. moving people around and holding me on at the same time. We had a blast doing that. It was a fun time for sure.
The offense didn't have a single 3-and-out against USC. You guys just kind of attribute to executing better, limiting self-inflicted wounds. Or
Yeah.
you guys look back on that?
Yeah, for sure. I think the self-inflicting wounds, we kept those to a minimum, if not zero up front. I'm very proud of those guys for taking that and growing throughout this week, because we knew that in order for us to win this game, we had to keep the ball in our hands, execute one play at a time, not trying to do too much, and minimize the penalties. And we did that up front. They did a great job with that, and it was a matter of just executing the small stuff. That was our message in the huddle. Every single drive was, because in order for us to score here, we have to execute the small things at precise moments, and that's what we did.
Max, what do you think of the way Darius was really able to press the hole and find cutbacks? And
Yeah.
the receivers on the outside really getting comfortable with runs too?
Yeah, I thought Darius' vision was great. Seeing it from my angle too, it's pretty cool. I don't know how he sees the things that he does up front, but be able to make those cuts, the cutbacks are really cool to watch. Then you watch the film again and you realize that the walls are created by the O-line and the receivers come in at the right moment to block in the perimeter, and he's able to feel that. Lemecki does an amazing job out wide. I love watching him play on the perimeter. He makes those kind of last-second blocks that allows Darius to cut off him. So seeing it from my vantage point is really cool. And then rewatching the tape, you realize why he's so successful. He's number one, a really talented and skillful player, but every single other person on the offense is doing their job, allowing him to cut those holes. Thanks, guys.
Back from Heatherman, you guys watch back the UCLA or USC tape?
You know, at first, as always, the things we did well, but we immediately flushed it. Then, went on to next week, more focused on being 1-0 this week and not just resting on our laurels too much last week.
What was the conversation between you and PJ like after brandishing the weapon penalty?
He just let me know that you got to celebrate your teammates more and then just be smarter in the situation on the field. It wasn't the smartest time to celebrate like that.
Justin, what do you think has helped the entire defense really execute zone drops crisply with everyone in sync?
Well, that's just been a big focus this offseason. I know since January we will always go out just as DBs and just practice drops versus all different type of routes. And, when you do it for so long, it becomes a little natural. So I feel like we've been doing a really good job at that.
Justin, were you surprised by that penalty, or where does the line acknowledging you made a great play, but then not going too far with it?
Can you repeat it?
Were you surprised by that flag or with the penalty, with the celebration, or where's the line between acknowledging you made a play but not going too far with it?
I mean, you can't leave it up to the refs, so I just got to do a better job at celebrating my teammates and, just moving on from it.
What was the recovery like from your injury? And do you feel comfortable talking about what your injury was prior to coming back here last week?
I think that's more of a Coach Fleck question. But I know the trainers, they did a really good job working with me and get me back.
Justin, what were some of your impressions while preparing for UCLA?
Nope, like we said, very good team. They're really battle tested. They play some really good opponents, and we feel like they're just a dangerous team.
What do you guys feel like going out to play in the Rose Bowl Stadium? What's that? Is that going to be a special moment for you guys?
I think if anybody plays in that stadium, it's a very cool moment. Growing up, seeing all the teams play there, it's a historic stadium, and we're lucky to have the chance to play in it.
The Big Ten teams are 1-8 when traveling 2 or more time zones so far this year. Has PJ brought that up, and what do you got to do to make sure that your body's ready to prepare to travel across the country?
We're really just focused on hydrating, and the record really doesn't matter. We just go out and execute and do what we do best and just play our style of football.
What do you think has clicked in the passing defense? You guys are top 5 or even number 1 in passing yards per game so far. We're halfway through the season already. What do you think has clicked for you guys on that aspect?
Just the execution and all, from the D-line to the backers to the DBs. If the D-line is getting good pass rush, then it's make it easier for us. If we're covering guys a little better, make it easier for the D-line. So it's all just a big unit, and when we're all working together at the right pace and at the right doing the right things, we feel like we're a pretty good defense.
What type of confidence can you take from that win over Southern Cal?
Whenever you beat a team like that, it always brings a little more confidence. But we're really flushed that we're focused on being 1-0 this week, and just got to go out and execute this week.
How good did it feel coming back from that injury and then having the impact you did, particularly before all those pass breakups?
It felt good. I was talking to my teammates, and I think the injury really made me realize I was taking a lot of things for granted and how fast the game can be taken away from you. So, just sit on the sideline those 2 games make me just realize how much I love football and just put me in a better position to come out and play my best.
After you guys scored that touchdown to go ahead against USC, what was kind of the message to the defense and your guys' huddle heading out on the field with that?
And we just want to end the game on defense. We know the North Carolina game, a lot of other games we could have finished it on defense, but we didn't. But it was a time we really wanted just to show we could end the game on defense.
What type of energy does Coy Parrish bring to your secondary?
He brings a lot. He's a young guy. He's always happy to be on the field, and he's gained a lot of trust in the room. When we see him out there, we know he's gonna make plays. So he's a good guy, hell of a football player, and just love to see him out there playing his best.
What were your thoughts on the interception you had at the end?
I don't know how he caught it. We got a picture in the facility now. He's almost halfway upside down. So, yes, that was a great play by him.
Anything else for Justin?
Thank you, guys.
Really have no effect that game. What stands out to you? What was Winston's message to the defensive line?
Yeah, our message. Obviously, we have a pass rush plan going into each week, and we knew that going against a team like UCLA, they're going to try to air the ball out. They have very explosive wide receivers. This past week USC. We have to be able to affect the quarterback. If he's able to sit back there and go through his progression, he's going to be able to do some damage. And so, it was going through affecting the quarterback. If you affect the quarterback, you're going to get home. You're going to get sacks. Obviously, we saw that with Ja and that huge play that he and Dev Williams had. But it was really just going back to, follow the rush plan. It will work. We have proof that it works, and it'll turn into good things for us and for the back end.
Is that like film session data where they just say it's like 2 plus 2 equals 4 and they just ingrain that in your brain so that you stay in your lane, so to speak? Is that how you go about it?
Yeah, so a lot of it is from film. We look. There's so much film study that goes in week to week, whether it's our GAs, whether it's our interns, our coaches watch an enormous amount of film, our players watch an enormous amount of film, and everybody kind of brings in what they've seen on film based upon what they've shown, these teams have shown, and what's exposed them in previous games, as well as what plays into our strengths as a defensive line. And so that is kind of how we develop our pass rush plan going in and week out.
Kenny, how much fun has it been to see you really start to unlock the versatility you have at all 3 levels?
It's been a lot of fun, and I love playing with these guys. It's fun on the field, it's fun off the field, it's fun at practice, and practice isn't normally fun, but we find a way to make it fun just because I love being with those guys out there and seeing our back end guys go out and cover and make plays. I mean, those guys fly around. It's fun to watch how fast and how much speed we got back there. And at linebacker, those guys fly around. They command the defense. And that defensive line, just seeing our guys go out and attack the offensive lines week in and week out, it's been fun to see everybody play into their strengths. And yes, of course, we have things to clean up and get better at, as do all teams. But it's been fun to see, the spotlight on some of these guys and how they've really handled it.
What stands out to you about UCLA?
UCLA, so we don't necessarily know who's going to play at quarterback. They have the way their scheme is set up. It's kind of similar to USC, to where they have a lot of skill on the outside. They're going to try to get the ball to the playmakers. Both quarterbacks have the ability to get the ball in the air and be able to run. Their O-line works together really well. And so we're going to have a real good game plan to find ways to expose them. Obviously, it's no secret we've probably invited the door for their run game in the past couple weeks. So, obviously we're preparing heavily for that as well.
You mentioned the run game issues. I think Big Ten running backs are averaging over 6 yards to carry against this defense right now. If that's going to change, what needs to happen?
Yeah, I think part of it, starting from a defensive line standpoint, is more firm at the point of attack. We get the first crack at everybody, no matter if it's run or pass. So being able to hold that point of attack and the defensive line, one, it clears up the pictures for our linebackers. Two, it allows the back end to kind of stay clean when it comes to RPOs and play action game. Two, we got to tackle way better. We have not on all 3 levels been great tacklers. I think each week this year, and that's probably one of the major things. And not all these runs are busting out. You see a missed tackle at 1 yard and he's tackled at 2, and that's because guys are flying around. But when missed tackles start to add up and add up and add up, that's how you get these yards after carry, and the run game starts to get padded a little bit.
From a preparation standpoint, how much is having prepared for 2 quarterbacks against UNC help you for this game against UCLA?
Yeah, you typically have a few of those each year with just the versatility of some quarterbacks as well as injuries. So, I know in the past years, I couldn't name off the games exactly, but we've done this several times where we prepare for several quarterbacks that have different strengths. They're good at different things. It just kind of, you got to look from a broader view. And it kind of helps in some ways. It makes things a little bit harder sometimes because, you're preparing, you kind of portion things off. Okay, this is what this quarterback's good at. This is what he likes. This is what this quarterback's good at. This is what he likes. But by the end of the week, we're ready as a defense to see either one.
Nobody
Yeah, I mean, as a Minnesota kid, obviously it's an awesome experience to be able to go out there and play. The Rose Bowl is an iconic name, and so we're super grateful to have the opportunity, with this new Big Ten to be able to go out there. Maybe each year as we'll see how the conference sets up games. But at the end of the day, we're still playing on a football field. It's just happens to be grass this time. We're still playing another team. It's 22 guys in the field. So when it comes down to actually playing football, it's just the game. But it's going to be cool to kind of take it in when we get there.
You played for a, big game this week, but when you're a Minnesota kid that came in, did you have a great appreciation for what Parrish did the other night? Two freshmen coming in, small school. You understand how good you have to be to get to a place to play like that. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no doubt. I'm in my 5th year here, and to see him come in and make plays like he's been making and, have the confidence to play Big Ten football and to do it at the level he's doing is awesome. And as a Minnesota kid, I think that's so cool because I think, there's a special bond on the team between Minnesota kids and other Minnesota kids just because, you're playing for your home state. But he has been tremendous, and he's got so much room to get better, and that's what's super exciting about it is you look back and, you get in the rhythm of summer and fall camp and the season, and you realize that, some of these kids you've only really known for 6-8 months, and you're like, man, these guys are we're close with a lot of these guys on the team, and so it's you kind of look back at it and be like, wow, he is playing at a high level, and it's only up from here for him.
Got time for one or two more, if anyone's got 'em? Or we'll wrap it up then. Thanks, guys.
Good. Thanks, guys.
And the offensive line last week against USC.
I think it all clicked because we all took the win and 0 mentality every play, and just play for each other and play our best football.
You guys had 15 penalties in offensive lines in the first 5 weeks. Didn't have any last week. Was that a point of emphasis from Callahan going into that game?
It definitely was. It was real big emphasis, self-inflicted wounds. We didn't want to create those. So just trying to put our offense in the best position and up front, we got to be super detailed. It starts with us.
Aireontae, what have you noticed while covering the UCLA scrum?
Physical, like I said, it's college football. So, everybody's going to bring it. They got athletes everywhere. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
What was your view of when Max got in on the 4th down play? Did you feel he was in right from the start?
Man, I knew he was in, man. I was super excited. I was just waiting for the refs to throw their arms up. But it was a great feeling, man. And the coaches, they put us in the best position to go out there and score, and we did exactly that.
You guys using that swing pass almost like a lateral, but there's things in offensive line that I think about leading in that stuff. Tell me about that, adding that to the, we haven't seen that in local football, throwing right, you're dumping it to your side.
Say that one more time.
Tell me about that, just schematically, how you like, just throwing the ball to your backs more than having the pass as opposed to running sweeps and whatnot. What is that like for an offensive line?
Oh, man, we got, explosive playmakers everywhere, man. Not just DT. You got guys like Spencer Alvarez, D-Jack. They all, man, once they touch the ball, man, it's just, you just sit back and watch, see what they do. So I feel like we got explosive playmakers everywhere, not just DT. But it's always exciting seeing DT go out there and make guys miss, for sure.
The quarterback rushes for 3 touchdowns, most of them inside the 10. And how much does that say about the offensive line winning with the line of scrimmage to give them the chance to do that?
Yeah, that was the point of emphasis, man. It all starts with us up front. We the engine of the offense. So getting Max in there 3 times in a row, man, was a heck of a feeling, for sure.
We've seen Harbaugh call as many screens in the last 2 weeks as probably your previous 4.5 years. So when you're learning how to actually execute a screen in space, are you looking forward to hitting the smaller defensive backs, or what's the aim point?
I think that's every offensive line dream is just go pick on the little guys down the field. But, yeah, anytime we get the opportunity to go downfield to hit a guy, hey, we looking forward to it. So it's super exciting.
How much work goes into knowing where your landmarks are and then timing it all over?
Yeah. It's very important. And like I said, we got some of the best coaches in the country, and they put us in the best position to go out there and execute the plays. So, it just started with practice, and it kind of leaked over to the game.
Going back to that screen thing, do you have a favorite play? Could you walk us through it of one of the little guys?
Really any play where I'm pulling or anything like that, and I just go get to hit a guy. It's a few screen plays we got, but yeah, any play that I'm pulling for sure, 'cause I want to get in there and get dirty too.
So if the offensive line is going to put it together in back-to-back weeks, what needs to happen this weekend off the Rose Bowl?
Just keep the main thing. The main thing, last week was last week. We celebrated the win. Now it's time to move on to UCLA. And like I said, the coach is going to put us in the best position to go out there and win the game. So I'm super excited to go out there and travel.
What's it mean to you and your teammates to be playing in that stadium?
Like I said, man, it's another game. We are not really worried about the stadium. We don't let the circumstances dictate our behavior. So I just know that we're going to be prepared to play, and we're all excited for sure.
First time the fans kind of rushed the stadium since 2021 against Wisconsin. What was that like for you to experience that?
It was super fun, super exciting. I just know that they was trying to get my helmet back. I'm like, no, I'm keeping it on. I don't want to get whacked in the head or anything crazy. So just seeing that and being able to be the fans to be a part of that was super cool to see, man. I had my family out there too, so yeah, it was super fun, man, for sure.
Anything else for Aireontae?
Thank you. Row the boat, Scott. You might go Gophers, bro.